Directors meeting. And on item 2, you found a joining of span on statewide. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, with pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you very much. Call the meeting in order. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment? We have any adjustments to do?
I don't have any.
All right. Send out the, any, and we have an item, seven. I do have a motion in the second, accept that. So, I'll second. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I'd like to hear this. I guess I forgot to call it, roll call. I apologize for that. All right, moving on to regular agenda, item number 9, review and act on the fiscal budget structure.
All right, from the budget that we presented last month, there's been no changes. I will note, and it's not in the budget, but you did request at the last month's meeting to look at what it would look like to increase your DNO coverage. I did get some numbers back on that, and I'll make a recommendation to OPM to increase the limit, from 2, which is where you're at today, to 5. And that increases the premium by about $1,200 on top of 3,000. So for
Is that for all months or per month?
per month. So it's a good bang for a buck to over double your coverage of $1,200. Thank you for that adjustment.
You see a need to do this?
And obviously we heard, at the last month that it's pretty low, possibility of plans as there historically, but with the size of the districts in the woodlands, and the, such small amount of premium in order to get another, 3 million of coverage. Well, I think it's a reasonable thing. So other than that, no other changes to the budget from what was proposed before.
All right. Have a motion and a second to accept the authority vote. And words. Second. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's carries. Item 10, consider an act on policy 12 weeks for one service.
All right, RNS 12 is the policy document that, I guess, memorializes your rates. And so your retail water and sewer rate, as I mentioned in the budget last month, is not changing, but SJ's JRPP is changing and lowering. So we need to update the RNS 12 to document the change in rate there. No lowering.
I think that's all right, the vote.
Yes.
Have a motion and a second to accept the
Make the motion to accept the proposed rate schedule.
second. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, item 11. I need to take the meeting and we can.
We need to recess the regular meeting and open the hearing for the comments regarding the district's published tax rate, proposed published tax rate, which is 0.676 for payments in operation, and that was published to the clerk.
Correct.
I think we amended it to 0.067. That's your decimal.
Right.
Yes.
0.6.
Thank you,
Brian.
Save the taxpayers $1.67.
Make it up in parentheses.
Yes.
Go ahead and have a motion to it.
I don't.
Should they just-
Recess, we open talk.
For your public hearing, anybody have any comments on the? That, everybody back in.
Was John sending emails about the public hearing?
We have a motion and a second to accept the tax rate structure.
We're doing public hearings just like
Make a
tax.
motion to accept the tax rate of 0.067.
Any opposed? Number 13, approve, execute an amendment to the information.
Some district information form installed in the property records. As you know, it has a lot of factual information about the district, including the tax rate and tax the back of the information form that's the notice to register that's provided if people win my property in the district. So we need to amend that information form and the attached list of purchasers for the what that's going to be tax rate. I'm going to all of stuff.
We don't need to vote on this.
We do.
Sign it.
We need to add on it.
Is there a copy of the copy?
No, it's in the.
Make the motion that we approve Walt's signature.
All of it.
You'll see the tax rate.
Is there a second on that? Second. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carried. We go on, I'll wait till we all sign it.
Down here.
That's actually.
Just James.
Oh. They just said it.
We're not approved.
They just said it. Ryan, is it,
All right, moving on.
They adopted the
14, your signature regular monthly SJR.
All right, good morning. Only have a couple items to point out on your packet. First is, once not in your packet, actually, is we do have financials this month. This is going to be May and June financials. We are looking to get you July financials next month. A reminder, we typically do next about August financials because it's the end of the fiscal year. And it can give the impression of what we're actually getting, but they're unaudited. So you're going to get the August end of year financials with the annual comprehensive financial report around January. You do have financials though for May.
So it's taken, what, how many months to prepare this?
May 6th for the swap over, so it's in May 6th. There's a lot of hard work that's involved to get this. I know it was some time. I appreciate y'all's patience. They've been working very hard to get these. They tried to get July's, but there was still some works in the system that didn't post. The other item I wanted to point out is on page 22. These are the projects and the related financials for those projects. Those financials have also been updated as well. So those are as of the July 1st, and that's the financials we have. So one thing I did want to point out is on page 22. You'll see that big yellow bar where that's showing the project closed out. No more invoices. Next month. But the project underneath that is the wastewater plant 1 project 5. The trustees approved the budget of $500,000. The contract that was signed was just under $500,000. The numbers you see here of $550,000 for budget and $559,000 contract were incorrect. I'll have it on. But it is $500,000. The contract is under. That's where we're. They are nationwide, they have some users in Texas overall, and so far they've been hands off away from the other. And over quite a few years, the great farm, very normal. Correct. Now they're going to read the reports, they're going to see the reports, but they have to form an unbiased opinion of those reports, so they're actually going to accept them and rubber stamp them and say here. In fact, they're doing a site assessment for October 1st. They can come there and confirm everything and see where it sits or what they're thinking, get an unbiased opinion.
What's the status of the lawsuit between SJWA and the city of Colorado?
Still waiting to see where it goes from here. The timetable, I think, is still open. I've received an update 2 3 weeks ago. Timetable is still open. I'm going to make the bill. I'm just waiting to see if they have bill. Before we go any further, if they appeal to the Supreme Court, then you have to do that. Like that, so we're just waiting for that thing to come and go. If I can go to. And
What's on this long enough to see you get to that?
then here to down.
There you go.
I've
Any-
been.
Pretty good. Moving on to, update on Spring Creek extension. And you have that?
All right, I think,
When's this study to be finished?
Eric, if you got a latest update from that at all on.
I have not.
Let me follow back up with Matt Barrett about later, like schedule. I don't want to tell you something.
So I'm assuming the study is still ongoing, or
It is,
get that hold, they really do. They haven't had a report in a couple months now.
I believe they're finishing up the report.
Yeah.
Last I heard.
That's my understanding.
Before they have to be done that, going on.
There's a monthly meeting. The last meeting was canceled, so, it was, lack of. Okay, that's fine.
Get something in. I'm sustaining the current report
Nothing under 16 today.
on the water task force.
Not at this point. No update. It was, in regards to a project that, or not a stakeholder of, but a project that, is in modeling and being proposed up off of, Research Forest. The processing for that came in a little high. The response was to see if we could find some additional funding. So we set up a meeting, invited Crenshaw and Toth's office, and then had a little presentation from the engineering update stakeholders on, where we are with that project. And stakeholders in that group have decided to, and so the result was, it doesn't appear that there's any immediate additional funding to make up the gap, before the process. So the movement that is occurring now is the stakeholder minds are going to essentially form a committee to see what the next steps are. And that was the last thing that was brought forward the one group.
Let's see us have another meeting and see if we can, do a resolution on how we're gonna fund this thing and who's gonna run it. And, if there's still a desire to keep this thing going. I mean, I think we're all in agreement that we have to come up with some. That's gotta be funded. So,
Yeah,
that
that,
we can come up with something, maybe it needs to be presented with more requests we need to make. Whether they're gonna do it or not gonna.
Yeah.
Item 18, general manager's report.
all right, general manager's report is there in your packet. Page 37, wanted to point out, we are developing a regular, I'm gonna call it a regular, and post-storm condition assessment of the ditch systems, across the woodlands. And so, as part of the trustee budget, we are going to, be purchasing a utility vehicle to be able to assist in running the ditches, both on a regular basis and then also post-storm. So we're going to develop that process so that we can better respond and be more proactive in assessing ditch conditioning and then also ditch damaging after post-storm. So we'll be doing that. did want to point out the building improvements, as you can see, as part of trustee budget as well. We started doing the improvements, as you can see, in the public areas. We basically just done paint, and then they're not quite finished in these areas, but we'll finish by the end of this week, finishing the exterior just in front there, and then the moldings will be done. And then phase two will be going into the offices to clean those up as well, and then some technology improvements we're looking at for putting TVs in here and then also out in the public space. So if we have overflow, that people can see what's going on versus doing small. So a few of those things, we're looking at security, upgrading that on the building and then access control. So just baby steps, but we're moving forward with some improvements.
Looks great.
Thank you.
Big improvement.
Thank you. In the back, you're going to see quite a few articles recently from the area, different things going on. Wanted to just point those out just because there's quite a few this month. And then John's actually not here, so we'll move to the next step was kind of the segue into item number 19, if we're ready.
Any other comment on the management before? With it. Any idea how many trees fell in the ditches?
I don't offhand, it's probably in upwards of about a dozen across the entire ditch system.
And if that does happen, subcontract work out for the body.
Not necessarily. Our crews can handle some of the bigger stuff we can't, but it's been able to handle, I think, most of them. Our crews.
I saw a report that the, women's health said they had 903 trees down. I heard somewhere about a sort of thing. Big program. And I don't know if the township's come up with an assessment yet.
I know they've been active cleaning up as well on their facilities. I've talked to them.
All right. Item 19.
All right, so we wanted to, if you recall, the PEC, working with the PEC, SGRA entered into a contract about this time last fall, to hire a PR firm to help as we move into the infrastructure renewal campaign to educate and be transparent to the community about the aging infrastructure that we have. And so Holloway was hired under that contract to help us. We've been working with them and the PEC for the last year. Been doing, I know it's been a little bit, I guess, quiet because there's been a lot of work behind the scenes going on, but we now have something to show everybody. And so I thought it would be a good idea to have Holloway come in and give you essentially an update of what we've been doing with the PEC, what's been developed, and then kind of steps forward as well. So with us today, we have Connor and Cindy to give a presentation on what we've been up to with the PEC and Holloway.
Welcome.
Very happy to be here. Thank you, Eric, for that introduction. My name is Connor Stokes. I am the Communication Services Manager for Holloway. I'm also joined by CDBs. Cindy will be going through the website that we've, a preview of the website that we've developed. But before we do that, I'll just do a very brief presentation. Tell you all a little bit about us first, about what water renewal limits is, how we've gotten here, and some next steps. So just a little bit about our firm, Holloway Environmental Communications. We were founded about 30 years ago as an environmental only consulting firm. About 20 years ago, we saw a need in the communication space that was somewhat lacking through the National Environmental Policy Act, public involvement. And so that's really how our communications practice was started. We have extensive experience in this region. We do most of our work here in the Houston area However, we also have a presence in Central Texas and San Antonio, and then we also do a lot of work just along the Texas Gulf Coast. Just a little bit about current past projects. We supported Harris County Flood Control, Harris County Engineering Department, Metro, Texas General Land Office, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, among many others. Supported Harris County Flood Control with the 2018 Harris County Flood Control Bond Program following Hurricane Harvey. We're currently supporting the Harris County Map Banks Program, which is taking a look at remapping all of the floodplains in Harris County. We've been a part of the coastal protection restoration project since the study phase. So just a few of the projects to highlight you going on to work in the past and what we're still supporting. Next slide. So just a little bit about water renewable woodlands. This is a collaborative effort by Woodlands Water, the MUDs, SGRA, focused on long-term modernization and rehabilitation of water and wastewater infrastructure. The projects are sourced from SGRA's 10-year project plan, as well as additional projects that Woodlands Water have identified. Our objectives here are transparency in our communication, education of the public, our stakeholders, and providing meaningful engagement opportunities for the public and our stakeholders, making sure that they have forums to engage with us, opportunities to provide feedback. Additionally, we want to ensure efficient, reliable water and wastewater services and maintain that infrastructure soundness for the next 15 years. So just a little bit of how we got here today. And Eric mentioned that we've been in very close coordination with Water, SGRA, as well as the entire public engagement education committee from the very beginning. We first got started back in the fall of last year with a needs assessment. So the purpose of that was to just take a really detailed, comprehensive look at the ways Woodlands Water, SGRA communicates with their customers. So everything from website content, the layout of those things, to materials, advertisements that are publicly consumed, to even media coverage of these entities. This needs assessment served as the foundation of our communications plan. So we put that together earlier this year. That outlines a clear strategy for our communication and education campaign. So in addition to communications methods, tools, and tactics, that also outlines an implementation schedule that will be dynamic and updated as we move along, as well as just internal procedures to make sure that we're all in lockstep with the PDC as we move forward to make sure that we are meeting expectations there. So here we are at implementation. Since we finalized our communications plan, we've been working on branding for water renewal. You can see the logo there. We wanted to create a really clear brand identity for water renewable woodlands. And then what we're going to be previewing here today is our website for the program. Go on to the next slide, please. So City will give us a detailed preview of the website, but first, just a little bit of purpose here. The website is really intended to serve as our central hub of information throughout the life of the project. We want in all of our communication and advertisements, anything that's publicly consumed, to be able to link back to that website. So as folks have needs for additional information to provide feedback, that'll be that central source, and that'll be constantly continuously updated as we move forward. Just again, all of this was done in very close coordination with Woodlands Water, SGRA, and the PDC to get where we are. So that the website that you'll see here in just a second, that has been vetted through the PDC, has gone through multiple rounds of review. And then what you'll see here today is not what it'll look like throughout the life, of what we're up to here. We'll be looking for future editions, more interactive components like mapping features, project summary, one-pagers, funding information, all sorts of things. But without further ado,
Yes, I'm Cindy Dees, and I'm a senior communications and public development coordinator at Holloway. So very pleased to be here. So with the website that you're seeing here, we are continuing all that branding that Connor was outlining for you with water renewable woodlands, which is what we're referring to. this undertaking as. The landing page here is really about setting the tone, telling the story about what we're doing here. So we're revitalizing, reinvesting, and renewing, and this is all tying to the future of the woodlands and what it's going to look like in the next 50 years. So exciting stuff happening with next month's celebration for the Woodlands 50th anniversary. So what a great, tie back to this undertaking where you're getting to tell that story of, hey, we have been around now for 50 years. Things are starting to show their age, and we have some key decisions to make. And so we've created infographics that you'll see throughout the website, but this infographic in particular really hits on that decision-making process that many towns, townships, cities are faced with when, they're getting older, they're maturing as a location to live. And so infrastructure investment becomes a key decision in that mature period. And you kind of have to decide which way are you going to go? Are you going to be doing that reinvestment or are you not? And then there's impacts for those decisions. And so that's what this landing page really starts to outline. And then it also talks about timing. Yep, thank you. Why now? Why is it important that we're talking about this now? And definitely continuing to tell that story about the 50 years and how infrastructure has a natural aging process and useful life, and there are key decisions that do need to be made. You down who's involved, Woodlands Water, SJRA, those icons do link back to their websites. We definitely think that's important to link back to the source of the information. Roles and responsibilities, this is where you're going to see MUD's. We're outlining the MUD's role in this as well. And as we go into deeper into more pages, you'll see how we, for those that maybe don't know how this all works, how the three agencies all kind of interplay, we do describe that a little bit more there for them. What's included? So I do want to kind of caveat this page, and going back to what Connor said, it is meant to be somewhat dynamic. It's going to change as the project progresses. We're going to see more additions to it. We're going to see more detailed information. Right now, our tone and what we're really telling folks is, things are under consideration right now, but the actual projects that will be incorporated into the renewal plan are still under evaluation. And so we're using things like condition assessments, likelihood and consequence of failure, staff inspection reports, and all those types of things to really prioritize and make decisions on what will ultimately be included. News and updates will be an important section. These are just kind of staging articles, so we get an idea of what's going to go there. But when this page launches, we'll have a news release there that we'll talk about, hey, come check out this website. There's also going to be a survey component that will be housed here on the website. So exciting news there. And then we'll be continuing to provide other articles of interest that people might, help educate them more on this topic. But this is really meant to provide a lot of transparency and engagement and education for folks as they go to this page. Stay in touch. You'll see that kind of frequently because we do want to invite people who are coming to this page to stay in touch with us. Sign up for newsletters, sign up for updates. We're going to be pushing things out throughout the life of the project. And so that's the landing page. We go back up to about the plan. We're going to dive a little bit deeper here on this page into, why are we doing this? What is the plan about? As I kind of mentioned, we don't have all the specifics outlined just yet on every single project in time. So it is a little bit high level here, but when we have that detailed information, this will be where some of that information lives, like the project sheets and things that Connor mentioned earlier. If you scroll down, I think we have some more infographics. So just some key terminology here, really to get everybody speaking the same language. What is infrastructure? We know from previous surveys that Woodlands Water does that your customers have a pretty good understanding of what water infrastructure is, but this is really, so everybody knows what we're talking about. This is the definition that we'll be using. Renewal plan benefits. You definitely want to let people know, how is this going to benefit you? Because that's definitely what most people want to know, right? How is this going to help me and my family? And so this goes into some of those benefits that people could see from as an outcome of the renewal plan. And then this is another infographic we put together that really starts to talk about that decision-making process and that if you delay infrastructure, what can happen and kind of that asset management life cycle. And so we do talk about on this page about reactive maintenance and how as infrastructure ages, you start to see more breaks and things like that as a consequence of that. Water is serious business. And we're not just talking about water, we're also talking about wastewater here. Wastewater, we know it ties into business. You know, you have businesses all around who are using water every single day with all their processes, whether it be a restaurant, an industrial facility, et cetera. So this really brings that home. And you could see these infographics being used maybe in other ways in the future, like a brochure, different things like that. And again, here is another infographic that talks about how important water and wastewater are. They can tie into lots of different costs, like interruptions to your business, and repairs can get higher in cost if they're delayed. Okay, so that's about the plan. Again, that page will definitely be dynamic about us. So we did talk a little bit about the entities that are involved in water renewable woodlands, but this does go a little bit deeper and again includes those links. So if people want to go check out more information on Woodlands Water's website, which just has a great wealth of information, they can definitely go to the source and get that. But it does give a little bit of that history of what, you know, how does SJRA work with the MUDs and work with Woodlands Water, which can be something that folks, you know, may not be clear on that relationship. And if you go down, again, more infographics, we love visuals here. And this one, you know, really talks about like who does what when we talk about water renewable woodlands. And so we got SJRA, you know, the wholesale water and wastewater services, MUD setting policy and assessing fees and taxes for the services of Woodlands Water, doing the distribution, wastewater collection, storm drainage, and tax collection services. That infographic goes into more detail on how those different assets are managed. We have more information again about how the roles of SJRA, the MUDs, and Woodlands Water. I think that, yes, and you'll see there's that infographic again. So if people were just to go to that page, they would basically see everything that we've created so far about the agencies that are working on this project. Perfect. And then we have FAQs, which I can't mention a more dynamic part of the page. FAQs, this is really meant to be kind of a place where people can go if they have a question. And, you know, as this project progresses, you may hear the same question coming up over and over. You know, what are the benefits? You're probably going to hear that from a lot of people. So this is a great resource to point people to and help them get an answer. And then if we do encounter a question in the community that's coming up a lot and we don't have an answer yet, that's always something we can look into adding. Yes, I think this is on another page too, but you know, what MUD am I in? Some people maybe they don't know and they want to see that. So luckily this tool is available through Woodlands Water. We've just embedded it here. So there's some sampling of kind of what the page will look like there. And then if we go to get involved, many forms that I mentioned earlier, there's, you know, a form you can fill out for, we want to hear from you. You want to receive periodic updates. If you actually want to send us a question, where it says insert email here, that will be filled in as we get closer to the launch with the official email address. And then links again to the main agency pages. And I think most of these, if you want to click on them, you can, but they're kind of, you know, again, more places where people can go to submit questions because we are trying to get people to really interact with the site. And events, there is going to be events associated with this project. So there could be something like an open house or maybe an appearance at an already ongoing community event, and those will all be placed here so folks can come check it out. Media, if anyone from the media is curious, this is again kind of their one-stop shop where they can come and get all the articles we've been writing, any related links, any resources that we have for them, as well as who should they contact if they want to quote or want to do a story and that type of thing. We hope they do. And then contact, this will be, you know, the official contact form for the page. And again, that email address will be filled in. And then find your MUD, that's, again, how do you know which MUD you're in? And if they click around in that, they can get a little more information about their MUD. And so we look forward to growing this page and continuing to make it even more dynamic and more effective as we go on. But that is kind of where we are right now as a broad central location for the community.
So what's next? So we just went through the website. That is a huge part of bringing awareness to everything about water renewable woodlands. We're looking to launch on this website on September 19th. That is this Thursday, along with the survey. So you mentioned the survey. And then we really want to bring a lot of awareness to the site so people can start to get educated about the water improvements. And we'll do that through several means listed there, just a few email blasts, news releases, social media. We'll be looking to, build awareness through water bill messaging, get articles and local publications, things of that nature. And then further down the line, we'll be looking at what's been mentioned, engagement events, scheduling large scale open houses, being a part of other community events, smaller targeted stakeholder meetings as well. And then the last piece, I believe Erica's has mentioned this to y'all already, but we, as part of our communications plan, to really establish a dialogue within the community, have those community members, support us through, distributing accurate, up-to-date information. We would like to, receive an appointment from Ms. Mudd to be a part of that community working group. And that community working group, we'd be looking to, have a first meeting for that sometime this fall, probably in November. That's when we're targeting for that. Those meetings would be probably conducted on a quarterly basis. We want to be respectful of everyone's time. We don't want to make those too frequent. We want to make sure that when we meet and we have updates, there's a purpose for those meetings. But also, just a caveat, we want to be flexible and as needed. It's it's of the appetite of the group itself to meet more frequently. We can do that as well. If there's a need to meet in between, the regular quarterly meetings, we can also do that. So just a little bit about that group. If y'all have questions, certainly.
Are you soliciting, for members to the working group on the website itself and other locations, or where are you getting working group?
So we're making the specific requests for our working group. The working group itself would be made up of my representation from the village associations, as well as the business. So we'll be reaching out to the commerce for recommendations and that's there. And that'll really make up the core of our community working group, those three groups. But we'll also be reaching out to local elected officials if they want to have a presence, likely staff members, but to just keep them informed. And then the township, Woodlands Water, Howard Hughes would also be invited. We're sure that questions will pop up, and we'd like those players to be available to respond to those things and just be fully informed of what's going on.
Right, thank you.
So on the Woodlands Water Association website.
So this will be a separate standalone website, but there will be, once this site is live, Woodlands, just as we have, links back to SRA's website, Woodlands Water's website, those websites will link back to ours.
So you'll have a link or something for to go to the site. So I don't know whether your answer to Steve's question, the answer is mine, or who is on the public education committee now?
So the public education committee, please help me, is made up of Woodland Water representation, SJR representation, and then we also have Howard Hughes, the township, and then a handful of but representatives.
Yeah,
There's specific people.
yeah, John, Woodlands Water, myself, John, Tori, directors from MUDS are, Dr. Neil Gaynor, Hugh Cannett, Bob Lux, Arthur Bredehoff, I think are the 4 directors on it. As Connor mentioned, there's a representative from the township, Howard Hughes, SJRA, us, and the MUDS, and that's it.
Okay, so how often does this committee meet?
The PEC's been meeting about monthly for the last year as this started kicking up.
The part of this plan is also to go with the village association and some preventative and like Rotary and places like that. So,
Oh, yeah, eventually the audience will be the entire Woodlands community, different organizations, et cetera. The community working group, as Connor mentioned, one representative from each MUD. So we'll need to do that today. I need to get a representative or volunteer to get on that from MUD one. And then a representative from the village associations, which we're reaching out to the village associations, asking them for their recommendation on who they might want to participate, and the other organizations that Connor mentioned. It'll be about probably 25 to folks. And the intention of community working group is to really have folks collaborate on what they're hearing in the public. What is lacking? Where is there misinformation or miscommunication? And that will kind of mold and create the content that gets ramped up or lessened depending on what the community is saying and hearing and so forth. So
I have a question for, like the plan to get this website out, because a little bit of a concern that we're creating a whole new entity and a whole new brand, and I understand the idea behind it, but we have enough challenge sometimes just getting people to know to go to the Woodlands Water website. And then once they get there and they understand and they trust, and we've worked really hard on it and we have that trust in the community, I think we're gonna have to be really clear who's involved in this and who's not, because I can just hear it already, like, oh, this is this political group or that political group, or, I mean, we're gonna have to be, there's gonna have to be like a PR plan behind the PR plan on that.
I would totally understand it, and, some of the intent behind the standalone website brand identity is, whenever we were first brought on, Woodlands Water was, very sharing and some of the feedback through surveys that were received. And like you're saying, there is a knowledge gap as far as roles and responsibilities with doing what. And that's the very reason why we wanted to create a central place where people could go and see all those things, the infographics that Cindy was walking everyone through. All that is in one place, and they're not having to bounce around between Woodlands Water and Sanderson River Authority, to try to piece everything together. It's all there. And through our awareness initiative here that we're getting ready to launch, that brand identity is going to be really critical. That brand identity, that logo, Water Renewable Movement, is on every piece of information material that is sent out, directing folks back to that website. So they start to know and trust that resource for, this is where I can come to really distinguish who's doing what, who's responsible for what. And if there is a need to dive into, more information about what Woodlands Water does, what Estuary does, those, linkages back to those platforms.
And then my other question is social media. Are we creating a whole new social media? Or are we gonna just use our social media to push this out?
Good question. So we will not be standing up a separate social media. We will be helping both Woodlands Water and Estuary with content. And again, like everything related to water that's being pushed out through those already established platforms. We, through our assessment, we realized there's already great followings here. It can be a real challenge to stand up and build a new social media platform. So we want to leverage that as best as we can. And just, the challenge there is just making sure that, all the content related to this plan is clearly identified with that brand.
And then my other concern, or just making sure we have a plan for it, is, so did some of this work with CISD and their bond committee, and we really have some great, and I talked to Eric about this, but just being able to get in front of questions or concerns on social media in real time. So if any one of us sees something or our neighbor sees something and it's misinformation or just confusion or a question, who we tell, how fast it gets up, where it lands on that website, how fast it goes out through social media is going to be like a real game changer for something.
Absolutely. And that's get into what Eric speak to about the community work. But that's a critical piece of it. You want to understand those concerns, and we want to have dialogue. The reason why we want to keep it to, relatively small group is we don't want to just be standing in front of that group just presenting information. We want it to be an open forum for conversation. We want to understand those concerns as soon as we possibly can. We want to understand, they're just not. Part of that group, once we start progressing further, identifying projects, developing more materials, leading up to engagement opportunities. That group will partly serve as sort of a vetting resource for us. The materials we developed, do these things make sense to you? Are there things that we can expand on? Are there things missing? That'll be another, sort of step for the benefit. I totally hear you. That is one of the major drivers that this.
What is your project launch?
For the campaign itself is September 19th, so this Thursday. That is here at the beginning of really an awareness.
Is that when the site will go hot?
83% of the water in Montgomery County running water. I think the Lone Star Conservation District should be included somewhere on this.
Great question. I think it's, that's not a decision I can make alone.
Because they would supposedly regulate the amount of groundwater that pump. And also, I do know that there's aware of the differences of opinions when Lone Star and the NKRA. I'd just like to see you give some consideration of whether they should be included or not.
There's a small group that, and read between the lines on everything and anything. I want to see it ticked off with the wrong message out there and then all the same, got to respond to it right away. It's, that looks great. It does, but sometimes a political structure can look bit different. Any other questions? How's it actually funded? Who's funding this thing? Is it a joint project with Witness Water and Center Road Authority?
Yeah, it's in the approved budget through the SJ's budget.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Do we need to nominate someone?
We do.
Or nominate, Mr. Robbins? Your second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
You accept the nomination?
I do.
Too late.
All right, that's
All
all.
right, moving on to, Water trustee report. I think everything's in your package. It was a very interesting meeting. There's a report on, Region H and, the Region 6 also on flood control. I think it's very interesting, and very, if you want to comment on that, cornerstone monitoring group that's, things that really does. If you're interested in who they are and everything, that they have a pretty good website. Want to elaborate what the mission is for us?
Sure, they're a lobbyist group that started with WWA and SJA probably at least 3 years ago or so, maybe longer. And they are looking through state and federal funding opportunities for infrastructure projects that we might do. So far, they've landed just over, I think, $5.3 million in monies for the Bear Branch Dam rehabilitation project, as well as a lift station project upgrades that were needed. So 3.8 and 1.8 and 3.6, I believe, are the two amounts that they've acquired so far. So they've also been working with us to try to develop better language on the federal side to define special districts. So on the federal level, special districts such as MUDs are not defined very well, and therefore, when you try to go for federal funding for some of these federal projects, we don't score real well because special districts aren't defined very well. So we've worked with lobbyists to redefine those definitions, and we've been getting some good support from some federal legislators to get those definitions changed on your behalf. So,
They're pretty impressive, but definitely not the first podium.
no, absolutely.
All right, thank you very much. Item 21, from session to closed session, no, we can do that.
We do.
Oh, we do. Yeah. And, in accordance with the section 551071. We discuss matters with the attorney and that is the public session.